Hello, hello. This is Brelle Albert with the Higgins team at EXP. And have you ever been trying to buy a house where there were a lot of other buyers competing for it? If so, stay tuned because today I'm going to give you 5 secrets to submitting a winning offer. If you're in the market for a house right now, then you've probably seen there are a lot more buyers than there are houses available. So if you want to win that house of your dreams, you need to bring your A game to the offering table. Before we get to those 5 secrets, let's first talk about your mindset. When working in a competitive market to buy a house, it's important to remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so you need to be prepared mentally that this may take a while, and no matter how hard you try, it may take a few offers before you can get that house that you want. Tip number 1, get pre-approved by a lender before you submit your offer. Now, pre-approval is different than pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is a fairly cursory review of your financial situation, whereas a pre-approval means that the lender is fairly certain that they will be able to close your loan. It requires that you submit more paperwork to them and takes a little bit longer for them to turn around. But it is worth it in the end because sellers want to know that if they accept your offer, you're going to be able to get that loan. So take the time to get the pre-approval. And I always recommend getting pre-approved by a local lender. The reason for that is with local lenders, the seller's agent and your agent can call them and see what's going on with your loan. It makes getting the deal done a lot easier. So that is something that sellers like to see. They like to know that their agent is going to be able to reach out to the bank, find out what's going on, and be assured that the loan is going to go through. It also is true that your agent will probably have a better relationship with them. They can call them directly and find out what's going on. The downside to a large bank is that you often get through to a call center and it can be difficult to reach your lender to find out specifically what's going on with your loan. So go ahead, get pre-approved, I recommend by a local bank, and have that letter ready to go with your offer. Tip number 2, find out specifically what the seller is looking for. This is where your agent comes into play. You want to ask your agent to call the listing agent and ask what exactly the seller needs in the offer. Sometimes sellers will want a really quick close because they are buying another house or they need to move quickly. But other times, sellers may want a rent back, meaning after the deal closes, they need to stay in the property because they're not quite ready to move. So you want to be able to tailor the terms of your offer to specifically what that seller wants, giving you just another leg up in the offer. Tip number 3, the terms of the offer. The strength of your offer comes down to the price you're willing to pay and the terms that you have provided. What do I mean by terms? I mean the division of who pays the title and escrow fees and the timing of the contingency releases. For title and escrow, it varies by county what the custom is for paying those fees. But regardless of what the custom is, it's always stronger if you as the buyer agree to pay those fees if you can. In terms of the contingency length, there are 3 contingencies in the purchase of a home in California. The first is the investigation contingency. Normally that period is 17 days, but if you feel you can get those done sooner, it's a great idea to tighten those up to 7 to 10 days. The second one is the appraisal contingency. That one again is 17 days by custom, but talking to your lender, you may be able to shorten that one up as well. And the third one is the loan contingency. Again, by custom, it is 21 days, but talking to your lender, you might be able to shorten that. The final term I want to talk about is the earnest money deposit. Now, in California, there's a provision in the contract to limit the seller's damages to 3% of the purchase price. So, the maximum that can benefit a seller in terms of an earnest money deposit is 3%. In some areas, it's customary to put down just a 1% earnest money deposit. But if you want to strengthen your offer, putting down that full 3% definitely helps make it stronger. Tip number 4, price. Of course, the seller is going to want to get the highest possible price, but something to keep in mind is appraisal. If you were to offer a price that is so far above the market price, it's doubtful that the appraiser is going to agree with you that that is an appropriate value for your loan. So, if you want to go really high with your price, you're going to need to think about what happens if the appraisal comes in lower than the purchase price. It may mean that you need to put more cash towards the closing costs. When it comes to figuring out the price, one thing I often tell my clients is think about 6 months from now and you didn't get the house. Is it going to be a situation where you're kicking yourself for not offering a little bit more? Or are you going to say, okay, someone else got it and they were just willing to pay more than I was willing to? It's a good mental exercise to run through just to give yourself a reality check on what's the right price for this house for you. And finally, tip number 5, sending a letter to the seller with your offer. I know it sounds a little touchy-feely and maybe a little corny, and that's okay. And no, it doesn't always work, but a lot of times it can give you just that little bit of edge that you need to get your offer accepted. So go ahead and write a letter to the sellers, tell them a little bit about who you are, and more importantly, what made you fall in love with their house. Chances are they love the house as much as you do, and they want somebody to come in and buy it who's going to love and appreciate it for years to come. So take the time, write a letter to the seller, maybe even include a picture of your family, and let them know why your offer is the best offer out there. So those are my 5 tips for submitting a winning competitive offer. Thanks so much for watching. If you like the show, go ahead and hit the like button, and you might as well subscribe while you're at it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to chat with you more about the best way to buy a house.